SmackDown has just become the weirdest show imaginable because 50% of it is like consistent storytelling and it has nodbacks to narratives that have happened in the past that make you feel all satisfied for being a wrestling nerd and watching week after week after week. And the other 50% is cosplay. I mean, we'll get to it. I'll explain that if you haven't seen it yet. But boy, howdy does it make your brain just want to explode. But you've already got your opinions, but it hasn't been written into the record books because before it can be, we take the finger of power, we go through last night's episode of SmackDown, and we give the good bits an oop, and we give the bad bits a down. That's right, we've changed it this week. It's oops and downs. Let's do it. Now, I rarely comment about the videos that air before the shows, recap everything that happened last week and hype up everything that's going to happen this evening, but I can't help it this week. I can't help it because the one that WWE played tried to make out that promo Baron Corbin did last week had people booing and had people mad and wasn't just him making testicle jokes and pretending that Roman Reigns was a chihuahua. Don't try and pull the wool over my eyes, WWE. I ain't no sheep. Down. However, with that said, Tawley Baldy was the first thing that we saw on this week's episode of SmackDown, and he came out on a giant throne. Now look, we can criticize this king character as much as we want to, but if you are going to go and do it, I would rather you just went full in. That's exactly what we did. I was chuckling like a hyena. What is wrong with me? It's getting an oop. He got some crazy heat here that did surprise me, and he also seems to have a new stable, which is himself, Dolph Ziggler and Bobby Roode, because he was doing the whole king stuff, and even said that they were basically loyal citizens, so we have now painted Dolph Ziggler and Bobby Roode as subservient. I bet they absolutely love that. Corbin said that he is now the captain of Team SmackDown, and it's probably just him making up lies, and because of that, he's not too impressed with two members on the team, which is Shorty G and Mustafa Ali, who very nicely got his first name back this week. Because of that, he's going to put them in a tag match against Roode and Ziggler, and whoever wins will be on Team SmackDown. Now, I have many questions here. One, why is Baron Corbin getting to make all these decisions? I don't think that's ever been implied in the story. And two, why are Roman Reigns and Baron Corbin both on Team SmackDown? They hate each other. It's not like they're super brand loyal. I mean, I guess Roman is. None of this makes any sense. I mean, to be honest, I don't know why any wrestler would care about being part of this group. If I was Mustafa Ali and Shorty G, I'd be like, all right, you just do it. We'll go do something more worthwhile. Ziggler then made up the fact that the only reason Shorty G and Ali were on the team in the first place is because they were running with Roman Reigns, and then Bobby Roode continued these lies by saying they get nothing but handouts. I mean, that's just a lie. That's not true at all. In fact, over the last few weeks, all Shorty G and Ali have done is has match, and most of the time they lose. Then this hit an absolutely massive brick wall because clearly WWE didn't hear us when we were saying, "Dear WWE," I don't know why loudness is a letter, but just this, "Dear WWE, please don't do this stuff anymore." Down. Because Corbin invited Roman Reigns to come to the ring, but instead of Roman Reigns, there was a man dressed up like a dog. And the reason I closed my eyes and waved my hand around is because I'm now in my own special world where this never happened. There's fairies and rainbows and just lovable pixies. Just think about the thought process behind this though. Like, let's imagine that wrestling is real, right? So Baron Corbin, Dolph Ziggler, and Bobby Roode, before the show began, went and found a random dude and said, "Hey, random dude, would you like to dress up as a dog and pretend to be the big dog?" And this guy went, "Yeah, that sounds fantastic." Also, if I was Roman, I wouldn't care. This wasn't insulting. It was just a man, or maybe a woman, I don't know. It was just somebody dressed up in a fluffy, kind of nice looking dog costume. I mean, who gives a shib? It was really, really stupid, and the only redeeming bit was that they had bark noises that were in tune to Roman Reigns' theme music. Because, I mean, at least they put some thought into it, I guess. They went, oh, we can make sure it's in time. Great. This segment then ended, thank goodness, and amazingly, the very next thing we saw was an advert for WWE Backstage next week, which will have CM Punk on it. I really hope you ask him about what I just saw. Also, on a side note, this was just so strange. I know it's a deal with Fox, but even to see CM Punk advertised on a WWE show, we're living in crazy times. We then moved on to that tag match, and crazy, ridiculous interferences aside, it was very good because, as always, all four men are very good. You know how wrestling maths works, give it an oop. Corbin kept getting involved, which eventually meant Roman Reigns did come out, and where the hell had you been for all this time, Roman? Clearly you didn't really care that much, and eventually he took out Tawley Baldy with a spear and the drive-by. Then back in the ring, the bag of Skittles gave a rolling suplex to Bobby Roode. He then got hit with the 450 by Ali, which which means Shorty G and Ali 1, they are going to stay in Team SmackDown. Thank goodness, because if they had been kicked out, I was going to stop watching. Also, just a quick word of advice for these two. If I were you and you get the chance to get out of this team, I would. Look at the hell that it's caused you already. It ain't worth it. The first of 2 Firefly Funhouse follows, and it was the second one that was more important, so we'll kind of just skirt through this one, because mainly it was so that Bray Wyatt could turn the Universal title from red to like a bluey purple. Now, why the Fiend would care about the colour of his championship, I don't know, but I understand WWE's obsessed with branding, and he also let us know that he's very, very excited about Miz TV later, because Daniel Bryan is going to be the guest, and he's going to be watching. We then zoom to the back where Corbin, Rude and Ziggler were devastated that they hadn't won the match, and the King said he was going to go sort it out. When all this happened, the man or the person in the dog suit was standing next to them, and yet I think I was meant to take all of this seriously. Baron did go off to do some dirty work, but nothing else happened with this angle on the show, so I guess we'll find out next week. I'm really confused about what the deal with Braun Strowman is at the moment. I know he's just come off quite a big angle with Tyson Fury, but now he just feels lost in the woods, especially tonight, or last night I should say. Down. Basically, after beating the B team last week, this week he beat up the B team. I mean, those two and Drew Gulak were out there, and he was doing a presentation saying, Braun, I know you're really good, but if I was on Team SmackDown, I would lead us to victory. So yeah, Braun Strowman then beat up Curtis Axel, and he beat up Bo Dallas. Drew Gulak ran away, and then Braun Strowman got on the ropes and went, "Bah!" I mean, what was I meant to take away from that? You could literally cut that from the show, and nobody would even know the difference. It was a very, very strange thing. And at first, I was like, oh no, maybe we're going to do like a 3-on-1 match between the B team and Drew Gulak taking on Braun Strowman, and we still may, but straight after that, I think we got a wink and nudge in the proper direction. Because after an interview with The New Day, and we'll get to that in a second, we saw Shinsuke Nakamura and Sami Zayn talking to Daniel Bryan and trying to recruit him to their team. Bryan very smartly went, well, no, I'm not going to do that, because last week when The Fiend turned up, you just legged it, so here's to you. And that's right, I'm flipping everybody off, not you, I'm just pretending that's what Daniel Bryan did, but I'm covering it because I'm a respectful man. I don't know why I'm trying to rip my own finger off either. Bryan suggested that he should try and recruit Strowman instead, which Sami Zayn laughed at, going, ha ha ha, I don't want that big buffoon. And of course, who was standing behind Sami Zayn but Braun Strowman? Zayn pretended that he didn't mean it, and then they just scarpered, but not before Braun and Shinsuke Nakamura stared each other down. So yes, if you've ever wanted to see that match, and I presume it will be for the IC Championship, I think we're going to get it. However, fair play to WWE, this does prove they care about long-term booking, because nobody has beaten up Sami Zayn more than Braun Strowman. I mean, the monster among men even once threw him in the bin. So maybe this will be the time Zayn finally gets his revenge. Yeah, right. Right, The New Day, let's get to that. Why on earth were they having a rematch for the SmackDown Tag Team titles when around about 12 months ago, Shane McMahon told me the automatic rematches were dead and in the toilet? Also, I've seen The New Day, close my eyes again, I've seen The New Day versus The Revival at least 62,422 times. I don't think we need to do it again. So for all of that, down. It did result in one of the best non-finishes I've seen in WWE for ages, or at least it got a pop out of me, because I guess I was tired and I forgot about all this and I didn't expect it, so that gets it up. Sorry, an oop. It was a good scrap because again, like most people on the roster, they're all very, very talented. There was one very cool near fall when the Revival hit the Shatter Machine and Kofi Kingston made the save at around about 2.9999. It seemed like the New Day were going to rally after that, but instead NXT's The Undisputed Era appeared from nowhere and they started to beat everybody down. Eventually the SmackDown locker room emptied and they chased those 4 away, but I liked it because, like I say, I just forgot that was even a thing. And I was like, whoa, sweet. We were also planting a seed for what was to come later, and while that wasn't necessarily as good, I was mostly okay with it. And then we just had a random squash match with Heavy Machinery taking on 2 Joes, 2 schlubs. I don't even know who they were. I do think the commentators made like a dig at Billy Gunn during this, because one of the jobbers was called Kip, and Michael Cole or Corey Graves went, I don't know anyone tough called Kip. And obviously Billy Gunn's real name is Kip Sop, so maybe that's me looking into things, but that was strange. But I'm glad Heavy Machinery are on TV. They can have an up. It was Sasha Banks and Bayley time after this, and we started with a promo. And very oddly, Bayley said she's going to go to the ring and face Nikki Cross. And of course, if Nikki Cross was going to win that, she was going to be on Team SmackDown. But Bayley said, maybe if I win, I'll be on Team SmackDown. Bales, no, you've got a match against Becky Lynch and Shayna Baszler. Maybe you should focus on that. It then led to this match, and you know what? oop. Not because of the fight itself, but because of the angle that followed. I mean, this barely ever got going because Shayna Baszler, the NXT Women's Champion, was out there and she chased off Bayley. And while Bayley looked very pleased to just get the hell out of there, she didn't see who was behind her. Because there was Dakota Kai, Rhea Ripley, Mia Yim, and Tegan Nox, and they started to lay a beating on Bayley that she will never forget. And all of a sudden Sasha Banks was out there, and she was going after Shayna Baszler and everybody else, and then that all led to another match. And we got that, truly we did, and it was entertaining, but I need someone to explain the finish to me. If I had some glasses, I put them on. It's Wrestling Nerd Time with me, Simon Miller, down. Because as it turned out, their opponents were going to be Sasha Banks and Nikki Cross, who should never have agreed to this, because she shouldn't trust Sasha Banks at all. But they were also joined by the we've appeared out of nowhere, Carmella and Dana Brooke. Like, I actually think it was like Star Trek, didn't there? What was that thing called the teleport or whatever? It's like, rah, and there they were. Shayna Baszler wasn't involved with this, so it was the 4 other NXT ladies, but they lost after Nikki Cross hit a net breaker out of nowhere on Dakota Kai. Now look, this is how I see it, and you can call me an idiot, bald ass on the comments, I know I see it all the time. But the reason this invasion worked a couple of weeks ago is because NXT were on the front foot, and you could go, oh my gosh, what a strong brand, what a strong group of people, they're invading and they're winning. I mean, Adam Cole beat Daniel Bryan. Here though, they just got trounced, and it was made very clear they're meant to be the number 2 brand. And it's almost like WWE knew this, because afterwards the NXT women got the upper hand and started giving them a beatdown before loads of people chased them off. But if you want them to look strong, just have them win. I mean, why couldn't they have pinned Dana Brooke? That's no offense to Dana Brooke, but it's not like WWE does much with her. They should, but they don't. Sometimes I think we get a bit overly complicated when it comes to wrestling, because if you want people to look good, have them win matches. That's it. Don't want to talk about wrestling maths again. I did enjoy how we closed the show though, and sometimes that's all that matters. Give it one final oop. It was Miz TV featuring guest Daniel Bryan, and I just love that when these two are in the ring, there's instant hate. We don't pretend there's not history there. We don't pretend that once they tried to rip each other's heads off. In fact, Daniel Bryan hated Miz TV so much, he's just sat there and he didn't say anything for a while. And when he did break his silence, he went, look, the reason I ain't saying anything is because I hate you and I hate your stupid show. After Miz had tried to interrupt him as well, Daniel Bryan went absolutely loco and continued on this weird, I'm kind of a face, but I'm kind of a heel character, but more than that, I'm absolutely bonkers, and that's how he tied it in to everything with The Fiend. He said he's passionate, he said he's unstable, but that is where he and The Fiend start to come together, because clearly Bray Wyatt is unstable too. I mean, once again, if anyone ever said, oh, Daniel Bryan can't cut a promo, kiss my ass. The second Firefly Funhouse then started to play, and we were just bringing in little story bits from everywhere and paying off if you are a long-term WWE viewer. Wyatt warned us that maybe The Fiend did what he did because 1, he wanted to scare Daniel Bryan, or 2, he remembers what he did. And of course, what he did was get into the Wyatt family and then beat them up from the inside. Wyatt eventually started pulling toys out of his toy box until he got his Universal title and said to Daniel Bryan, if you want a shot of this, all you gotta do is say one little word. Daniel Bryan refused and started to say no, and then all the Firefly Funhouse puppets started to chant yes. Well, Daniel Bryan lost it again. He said, look, if you want to fight, and let's do it for that championship. And then in one of the best performances I think I've seen of 2019 in the wrestling world, Bray Wyatt just started to chant yes, yes, yes over and over again, but everyone sounded more psychotic and everyone just sounded more and more terrifying. And also, I think this was a callback to the time when Daniel Bryan did turn on the Wyatt family. You remember, he was sat on top of the cage, the whole crowd were going crazy. This was absolutely sublime, and also the story of Bray Wyatt going after people that wronged him in his past and getting revenge. It's getting the clap, man. There is so much here that you can dive into. The Miz then ruined it by screaming, oh, it's Survivor Series, it's gonna be Daniel Bryan versus The Fiend for the Universal title. And who the hell gave him any power to make those matches? We should have just gone off air at that point, but still, this was a fabulous way to end what is becoming a very, very odd show, as we talked about in the intro. Also, the best thing about this is that there'd be no backlash if The Fiend did lose the Universal title, or I don't think so, because we all love Daniel Bryan. There's just this relationship between the fans and him, and if he did get the belt back, I think we'd go, great, Daniel Bryan's the best. Mostly because he is the best. However, like I say, when we talk about SmackDown as a whole, it is absolutely baffling. The first half, you could have just chucked in the bin, but the second half, well, kind of a few little ups and downs, quite literally, well, things get going. I don't know what to give it. Some of it's great. Some of it, you know what, we saw a man dressed up as a dog. That really needs to come out overall. A man dressed up as a dog, and that was meant, for us to hate Baron Corbin more. There's my spinny arrow. Just for that man and the dog. Just to hopefully I send like a message out there not to do this stuff. And again, we're getting it down. But again, the main event stuff and other bits on it, fabulous. Now, don't forget to leave a comment below and let us know what you thought about last night's episode of SmackDown. Like, share, and subscribe. Head over to WhatCulture.com, read yourself some articles. Follow WhatCulture on Twitter, WhatCulture WWE. Watch more videos here on WhatCulture Wrestling. My name is Simon from WhatCulture, also known as Mr. Ups and Downs. I will see you when I see you.